So there are approximately 2 weeks left before the July 18th exam. Today is 4th of July, so happy Independence Day if you're in the US. But basically what I wanted to do was create a 2-week cramming game plan for you, depending on if you have studied a bit, if you haven't studied at all, how strong you feel in certain sections, how you're doing just in general. So we'll kind of take into account these different factors and create you a study plan based on your situation to the best of my ability, and see how you can go about studying and making the most of the little amount of time that you have left, even if you're just getting started with the ACT prep, or if you've been prepping for months and months and months. On top of that, I'll also give you some more cramming tips for the night before, based on whether you have studied all before the night before as well, or if you've been studying before too. So in a general sense, the main thing that you need to be doing, if you're not using tutoring or anything like that, which I'll get to into some free tutoring resources you can get access to from a couple places, but just on your own, what you should be doing is a couple things. First and foremost, if you have 2 weeks left and you are practicing, then you need to ramp up your practice exams, even if you haven't practiced yet. So what does that typically look like? I recommend you take at least 4 exams over the course of these next 2 weeks. 4, if you have enough time, if you have a decent amount of time every day, considering right now it's summer break, maybe if you're watching this video later on during the fall or spring semesters, you might not have enough time to do this, but I recommend take 4 exams at least. Now that's if you've already been practicing beforehand. You won't need as many exams before your test to get your exam experience up. The thing is, if you are just starting, you might want to bump that number up to 6 at least, because again, the ACT exam, it's not just about how good you are at English, math, reading, science, and writing. It's about how experienced you are with the test. You have to learn the test more so than just learn the subjects. Someone can be very poor in math and do pretty well in the math exam. Someone can be a terrible reader like me and do really good on reading and science, which are just about reading. And it's not really testing you on reading and science, it's more so just how well do you do on the reading and science sections. So make sure you practice a lot. Like I said, 4 exams if you already have some experience, and you can ramp that down a little bit if you want. If you've already done like maybe 15 exams, I don't recommend you need to take that many more. And if you haven't started at all, at least 6. You gotta practice a lot. I usually recommend students, before you take the exam, have a dozen at least under your belt. Before my first one, I probably had between 15 and 20 at least. That was before my first test. So keep that in mind. You need to practice a lot, and you need to make the most of those practice exams. I'll talk about how you make the most of them in just a second. But as a prerequisite, make sure that you're doing it with timing and you're doing your very best. You don't have to sit down and do all of it in one sitting. One thing that I will recommend is you can break it up. So for example, if you're doing 2 a week or you're doing 3 a week, you can do all your English sections on one day, do all your math sections on the next day, reading, science. You can break it up by day so you can really hone in on one section every single day. And in terms of how you go about improving each day, there's a couple of things you can do as well. So that's the first thing, is to practice a decent bit, regardless of how much you have actually done so far. One thing I will also say is you can favor a bit more of your weaker sections. Like for me, reading, science were my weaker ones. So I would practice a bit more of those in the 2 weeks beforehand. I recommend you do that as well. Obviously, if you haven't practiced at all yet, you need to be practicing everything. But if you have practiced a bit of stuff and okay, I'm just not so good at English and math, then I'm going to make it a point to practice those a bit more and do some of the exercises I'm about to talk about. First thing is practice. Second thing that I want you to do is go over your mistakes. This is crucial on English and math especially, because again, the ACT exam tests the same skills every time. I've talked about this in many other videos, and I've made videos talking about each and every skill on the ACT. You'll find them on our channel. There's 134 skills and this is in the official ACT writers. They make a list of this every year. So I'm not just making this number up. There's actually that many skills, approximately. So you need to go over your mistakes so that you can familiarize yourself with these skills. And this is especially true on English and math, which test you on more specific skills. Reading, science is more so just about problem types, but English and math, like quadratic formula, using commas, sine ratios, Pythagorean theorem, you have to know this stuff. If you don't know it, you're going to get questions wrong, or it's going to take you extremely long to get them right, which is, both of those are very problematic. So make sure you go over your mistakes and try to learn whatever you can. Pick up, on the little strategies, the little techniques. You'll find that after you do this exercise of going over mistakes after maybe 4, 6, 10, 12 exams, you'll start to notice that A, the exam is the same thing every time, and B, you're making the same mistakes every time. And you can start to patch up those holes and fill those skill gaps really, really quickly. So make it a point to go over your mistakes, try to learn from what you're doing wrong. That's specifically for the exams that you're about to take in these next 2 weeks, or even the night before. Go over those mistakes, because that's the most up-to-date evidence of the weaknesses that you have. That's the second thing. So first thing was practice. Second thing is go over the mistakes of those exams, those ones you're about to take that you are practicing. The third thing is go over the mistakes and look over the weaknesses from your past exams, from your past practice tests. This could be the very first one you took. This could be the 5th one you took. It could be the 12th one. Whatever it is, look over that as well, because whether you took an exam now or in the past, or you take it later, it's still evidence of your weaknesses. And whether you overcame those weaknesses already or not, it's still important to look over those, because you don't want to make those kinds of same mistakes again and again. So make it a point to go over your past exams as well. Try to notice, what did I do wrong here? How can I make sure that I don't make the same mistake again? That's going to help you to keep from making the same mistakes over and over, and it'll keep your score rising as opposed to fluctuating like this. Fluctuations usually happen if you don't have practice, and if you don't have, if you're just not making the most of your mistakes and using that as evidence of your weaknesses. So just to recap, the 3 things so far, and there's a lot more points I have. I keep looking down on my computer, but there's 3 points so far. Practice, go over mistakes in the new practice, go over mistakes in the past practice. And these 2, I know they're kind of the same thing, but the way you do it is a bit different. The one that you're doing for your new exams, you have to be looking at everything from every angle. What am I doing wrong and why? From the past exams, it's more so from the experience of what were the mistakes that I was making before, and how can I keep myself from making that mistake again? It's kind of the same thing, but I want to emphasize those 2 things because obviously they're different. One exam you haven't taken yet, and the other you will. The bonus point I have like a total of 8 points, so there's like a bonus point as well, is to use your free tutoring session with us. I'm not going to try to sell you guys tutoring right now, but there's a free tutoring session you can get with me or one of our other tutors, and that's accessible through our website. Just go to the5academy.com/tutoring. I'll also link it below. You can set up a one-on-one phone video call with us, and we will try to help you out. More specific advice and personalized than what I'm doing in this video. So you'll find that link below as well. Alright, so that's what you should do in the 2-3 weeks leading up to the exam. You should practice, go over mistakes in your new practice test, go over mistakes in your past ones, and then if you want, schedule a free tutoring session if you are open to it. Now, what should you do the night before? I know I've made a number of videos about this already, but I want to give you a very concise video that's combining the 2-week approach as well as the night before approach to put it all into one place, so you know you can refer back to this video when you need to, if it is the Thursday or the Friday before the exam. So first and foremost, I would say don't practice a ton. Don't take a full practice exam the day before. You might burn out, and you don't want to do that the day before the exam. You don't want to like wake up the next morning and be like dead and just tired. That's not the move. It's gonna take a toll on you on the exam. So make sure you don't burn yourself out. I recommend a healthy dose of, maybe if you're doing like the 2 shorter sections like reading and science, you could do 2 of each, right? The only reason so I know that's a total of 4 sections, but those are shorter sections. I'm not going to recommend you to do 4 math sections, because that's 4 hours of just pure practicing. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. Take maybe 2 hours total of practice at the most, 2-3 hours. If you're conditioned, if you're very, very used to doing like 5-6 hours a day, fine, you can do more, but at your own risk. I wouldn't personally recommend that. 2 hours is where I top out the night before. If I was in your situation, I took ACT 5 times, and that's what I did. So 2 to 3 sections. Focus on your weakest ones, because obviously you want to, if you have a weaker section, you obviously have more potential for improvement there. I know students that'll say, oh, if it's a section that I'm stronger in, like math, maybe I'm doing like a 33 and I want a 36, then I'm going to try to practice math a bit more. You can do that, it's up to you. I think that practicing the sections where you have a larger potential for improvement, obviously you can have a chance to potentially improve maybe 50%, and you'll like actually get 3 or 4 points going towards your score, as opposed to maybe 1 or 2 points on a math section that you're already doing a high 30s on or a mid 30s on. That's just my thought process. That's what I recommend. That's what I see students succeeding with. So first and foremost, take 2 to 3 practice sections. That means, let's say you do 3, right? 1 reading, 2 science, or 1 English, 2 science, something like that. And don't go too crazy with the amount of time you practice. Next thing is go over mistakes in that exam that you took, as well as go over mistakes in past exams. Same exact thing for steps 2 and 3. You're going over mistakes in your new exams and your past, regardless of whether you took it the night before or you took it three months before. I still want you to go over those mistakes, because you want to remember, all right, what was the strategy that I used on that problem that I got wrong? Or what is the strategy that I used on that problem that I really got right and I got in like 3 seconds? You want to refresh everything the night before. That's kind of what you're trying to do the night before. It's not really studying, it's more so like a refresh, like, okay, what's all the work that I've been doing? Can I get a total like summary review of all of it in like a few hours, and just get all of that information back into my head and update it so that I can use it to the best of my ability on the actual exam tomorrow. So first thing for the cramming the night before thing is practice a bit. Go over mistakes for the new exams, go over mistakes for the ones that you already took in the past. And then the last thing is also kind of a bonus tip. This is my last out of the 8 points, is to watch our live stream that we are most likely going to have the Friday night before the exam. Last time, before the June test, which I know unfortunately for a lot of you guys that got canceled, we did have a live stream the night before. It was like an hour and a half, and I literally just answered all of your guys' questions for an hour and a half. I lost my voice by the end, but it was good. It was a really good session. We had a lot of people that watched it, and I will literally answer just about any question as long as it's, you know, I'll probably to the ACT and stuff, but yeah, I'll answer your questions, whether it's you need reading tips, or you're struggling to improve on a certain section, or you're like, what do it doesn't matter. I'll answer you guys' questions, so leave questions there. We'll let you know when that session is coming, but Friday before the ACT, the night before, we'll do a live Q&A, most likely, so I recommend you watch that just to get that one-on-one, or it's not really one-on-one, but you can ask me questions and I'll answer them live right in front of you. As long as there aren't thousands and thousands of questions, I don't have to like filter through them, but that's usually the way it is. I just answer everyone's questions, regardless of, you know, if it's first or last, whatever. So yeah, that's it for me. 2-week approach, basically in a gist: practice a bit, go over mistakes, and then free tutoring. Then you have for the night before, practice, go over mistakes, watch the live stream. That's the gist of the video, TLDR. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. Good luck on the ACT. If you need practice exams, I should have mentioned this before, but there are 6 linked below for free in the description, and you can just head to our website and access them. And you will also find free tutoring there. Like I said, the5academy.com/free. You'll find the practice exams as well as the free tutoring. So, yep, that's it for me, guys. So good luck on the ACT, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.